Like and subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to get 1 week good luck for you. Try this, it really works.
When it comes to animals, we basically judge them on how dangerous they can be by their size. But this video will prove how wrong we are though. Even the tiniest creatures can pose a threat and harm us in many different ways. The bugger number 1 can give you a bite more painful than anything you've ever felt before, so stay tuned for that. With that said, here are 10 harmful bugs to avoid at all costs. Number 10. The assassin bug. The strong beak found on assassin bug is used to repeatedly and violently stab its prey to death. Hence the name assassin. This insect can also inflict a terribly painful bites on careless humans, so you can look, but better not touch. They are vicious hunters, can be found on shrubs, ground cover, and garden plants as they search for insect prey. Assassin bugs move quickly and nimbly, surprising their victims. Once a prey item is caught, assassin bugs use their powerful front legs to hold the insect down while it is stabbed to death. And then its body fluids are subsequently sucked out. Most of North America is home to some type of assassin bug. The wheel bug is a commonly seen member of the assassin bug family, and its red and black nymphs are of tent-sited, crawling in large groups on branches during spring and summer. Because of their diet, they are a helpful aid in controlling unwanted insect populations in a garden. Number 9. The black carpenter ant. Black carbon ions are absolutely gigantic when compared to other ant species. Their name suggests it is an ant that builds, and it does that very well. The building locations of black carpenter ants' nests can make them quite a nuisance for humans. Carpenter ants are unlike termites. They do not eat wood, but they do make a home in it. They build colonies of up to 10,000 ants, and dead trees, telephone poles, wood piles, and sheds under house insulation, or even inside the walls of houses, in turn making them structurally unstable. You see how quickly these guys can be a nuisance. Burger ants live to solely serve the queen in a mature colony. Solitary scouts are sent to forage for food and return to the spot with more ants later. The queen produces eggs quickly, and it takes a little time for a small colony to grow into a massive one. A large colony will even begin expanding into smaller satellite colonies if space is limited. Infestations can cause a lot of damage and are best be removed by a professional exterminator. But carpenter ants also bite, though they cannot sting. Another defensive maneuver they use is spraying formic acid at a possible threat. Black carpenter ants feed on plant juices, fungus, food scraps, and even other insects. Most food foraging is done under the cover of night, though they have been seen at breakfast on kitchen counters and stove tops eating leftover crumbs. Number 8. The bull weevil. The bane of cotton farmers in the late 19th and the early 20th century, the bull weevil has been controlled and managed with good results in the 21st century. The only plant this particular weevil attacks is cotton, which happens to comprise the most popular fabric in North America. They are so hard to get rid of, even the heavy use of pesticides wasn't enough to do the job. It was only through genetic manipulation of the cotton plants themselves that people were able to keep their population in check. The bull weevil itself has an extremely round body and can be a shade of brown or grey, with short hairs covering its thorax and abdomen. It has a tubular mouthpiece that resembles the shape of an antennate snout or a downward curved elephant's trunk. In a testament to man's adaptability, a monument to the bull weevil was erected in the town of Enterprise, Alabama, in 1919. It still stands at the center of town, a reminder of what Coffee County overcame in the early 1900s. Number 7. The Mutilled Wasp. The female, the Mutilled Wasp, is a cunning ant mimic capable of inflicting one of most painful insect stings known to humans. Though she looks and acts like an ant, this solitary female wasp is part of a family known as velvet ants, and they are not ants at all actually. This particular species is not as hairy as typical velvet ants. It's actually extremely tiny for a wasp, and looks more like a real ant than other members of the Mutilled family. Wingless females are capable of rendering terribly painful stings, leaving human victims bewildered and in agony. Examining the antennae of a velvet ant helps distinguish it from a true ant. And antennae bend in a sharp elbow while the swap's antennae lack joints from base and tip. Adult molten lid wash during nectar and water. Wasp larvae, however, are fantastic parasitic predators. The eggs of a velvet ant are laid near the eggs of other bees, wasps, or even flies. They then hatch and quickly begin to devour the unsuspecting neighbors. Number 6. The American oil beetle. American oil beetles are a type of blister beetle. That means whenever they feel threatened or squeeze under pressure, they excrete a chemical known as cantharidin, a very nasty toxin that irritates human skin that results in blisters, which are pretty painful. This is the same chemical that these beetles use to ward off predators. American oil beetles have a soft yet stout abdomen, with a shell covering that looks like a series of overlapping plates. The insect can appear as a dull black, or in some cases a shiny black or dark blue. The surface texture is slightly bumpy, not slick, and smooth, and antennae are visible on the head. These particular beetles do not fly, and are very slow movers. Adults can be found gingerly walking around plants they eat, such as buttercups, and in the grass. They are active all year, but more so in the spring, where they are more likely to be seen. The larvae are somewhat devious, as one will sit on flowers waiting for a bee to land on. It will latch onto the bee for a free ride back to the hive, and once there, the beetle larva feeds on the same food as the bee larva. It's gonna pupate safely inside and emerge in the spring. Number 5. The bald-faced hornet. Bald-faced hornets are considered a beneficial species because they control the population of pesky or insects by preying on flies, and the notoriously aggressive yellow jackets, which they chew to a pulp before feeding them to their larvae. The adults themselves feed mostly on nectar and tree sap. But just because they are vegetarian and are considered beneficial doesn't mean you'll always have a peaceful relationship with them. Bald-faced hornets are extremely aggressive if they or their nests are under threat or disturbed. They will sting not just once but repeatedly. Nests are a grey shapely paper-like mask with an opening at the bottom. These bulbous nests are above ground, usually attached to lower branches of a tree or shrub on the eaves of outbuildings. Activeness can contain anywhere from 100 to 400 individuals. It's recommended that you get it removed by a professional in areas close to human activity. Number 4. The Blacklegged Tick. There is one reason, and only one reason alone, why this bug is harmful, and it's because of the disease that it carries. The black-legged tick is a carrier of Lyme disease, and can easily transmit it to humans. This arachnid picks up the Lyme disease-causing bacteria by feeding on mice and deer. The longer the dick has to feed, the greater the opportunity for the bacteria to transfer and infect. Commonly found in the East United States, the black-legged tick adult sits on low plant vegetation until a potential host animal walks by. With its front legs outstretched, it clings onto whatever it can, fur, tail, clothing, etc. It then crawls to warmer parts of the body because blood is closer to the surface in those areas. It bites the victim without pain because its saliva has an anesthetic chemical in it that numbs the bite site. A barbed feeding tube helps keep it latched on more securely as it draws a blood meal from the host until it's engorged with blood. And its abdomen more than doubles in size, turning rudder in color. Ticks may feed on the same host for days. All ticks are arachnids, not insects. They have 8 legs, so cutting legs of acreature crawling on you Canadian, identifying them quickly. Males appear dark brown or even black, while females feature red-orange coloring. Tick nymphs are most active during the spring and summer months, when a majority of potential hosts are also most active. Number 3. The giant whip scorpion. The giant whip scorpion looks somewhat like a typical scorpion, but with an arrow cord-like tail instead of thick curled segments. It does lack a stinger but swings its whip-like tail in an effort to communicate that it is about to defend itself. Though it does not produce poison, it can secrete a stinky chemical made of acetic acid. The same chemical that comprises vinegar from the base of the tail. The vinegar secretion can cause mild burns to insects, predators, and prey as well as skin irritation and nausea to humans. If these early warnings fail to convince a predator to move on, a giant whip scorpion will use its huge claws to pinch a would-be attacker. They can cause a good deal of pain when used on human victims, too. These strong pincer-like claws also are reused to rip and tear apart prey, enabling the giant whip scorpion to easily consume bodily fluids. Whip scorpions are difficult to find because they are mostly nocturnal. During the day they hide under logs, stones, or other debris, or they burrow into loose soil or sand. During summer months in wooded areas they are more active and may be seen in daylight. Now it's time for today's best pick. Today's pick may be tiny, but it's actually as dangerous as its name suggests. To make matters worse, they live in very close proximity to man. You might have actually seen what I'm talking about. Today, find out next with number 2. The fire ant. Just their name makes them sound dangerous. But are fire ants really as dangerous as their name makes them out to be? The short answer to this question is yes, fire ants are much more dangerous and pose more health risks to people and pets than other species of nuisance household invading ants. Consequently, fire ants are a dangerous ant species that have living on your property or to have foraging for food inside of your home. What makes this species of ant so dangerous compared to other species of ant is that they use their very strong mandibles to bite and hold onto their victims. They then use a stinger on the end of their abdomen to sting and inject their venom into their victim. If you're ever stung by a fire ant, you'll know it immediately, due to the instant extremely painful burning sensation that you'll feel. Fire ants are very aggressive and tend to swarm in large numbers. Several stings can kill a small animal, and the venom is strong enough to cause an allergic response in humans, potentially causing a person to go into anaphylactic shock. Number 1. The cow killer. The eastern velvet ant, also known as the cow killer, is not an ant at all though. The female looks and walks like one. The cow killer is actually a type of wasp, and the wingless female has a ferocious thing that is rumored to be strong enough to kill cattle. For humans, this thing is extremely painful, and this insect should not be handled at all costs. Males actually do have wings and look more like a typical wasp despite some hairs on their body. The cow killer is a solitary wasp, more likely to be seen alone than a nest with hundreds of others. This wasp species is parasitic to bumblebees. Females lay eggs in a bumblebee hive, and once the wasp eggs hatch, the wasp larvae eat the larvae of the bumblebee. Adults drink nectar, and cow killers can be found in fields, meadows, sandy or lawns, and at the edge of forests. They are typically most active at dusk or during the night. Look for the females on the ground walking in grass, along walls, and across patios. Do you know of any more harmful bug? Let us know down below in the comments also. Check out the channel's amazing videos also, and at the end, thank you for watching.